All right, humans, today we are going to simplify radicals with square roots. And we have 6 steps that we're going to follow. So the first step is we're going to find all of our factors underneath that square root. We're going to order them from least to greatest. After we've found all those numbers, we're going to circle pairs. And then when we get to actually writing our answer, the numbers that we circled are going to go outside. Those without a pair stay inside, and then we'll multiply anything that's remaining. So seems like a lot of steps, but 1 or 2 of these examples you'll usually catch on pretty quick. So looking at example 1, we have the square root of 88. So we need to find factors or things that multiply to give me 88. So if I think about 8 times 11, 8 times 11 give me 88. So those are factors. So I'm going to cross out the 88 since I already broke it down, and I'm going to look at my remaining numbers to see if I can also break those down. 11 is prime, so we're just going to leave it there. 8, I can break that down into 4 times 2. Again, cross out that number after you break it down. And I'm going to do the same thing for that 4 since that is 2 times 2. Once you're here, you're going to order all of the remaining numbers from least to greatest. So I have 3 2s and 1 11. Now I'm going to go ahead and circle those pairs. So I have a pair of 2s and nothing else matches. So when I go to write my final answer, anything that has a pair comes outside, but this is the important thing that most people forget. You only write one number for every circle that you have. So I'm just going to write 2 once. Then I look at what is left over inside. I have a 2 and 11. So I'm going to leave those inside, and then I just kind of look on both sides of the square root. 2, that's the only thing, so I don't have anything else to multiply. I'm just going to bring it down. On the inside, I have 2 and 11, so I'm going to multiply those and get 22. So my final answer here is 2 square root of 22. All right, looking at another one, we have 245. And when we get to larger numbers like this, I notice that some people start panicking. So if you are not sure how to figure out what 2 numbers multiply to give you 245, use your calculator. So to do that, you just start with the number that you're trying to break down and start dividing other numbers to see if you get a whole number. So if I do 245 divided by 2, I get a decimal. That's not going to work for me. So I'm going to try the next number. I could do 3. Again, decimal. I don't want it. So I'm going to keep going until I get a whole number, which for us starts working for 5. So I can do 245 and break that down into 5 times 49. From here, I know how to break these numbers down a little bit easier. 5 is prime. I can't break that down into any other factors other than 1 in itself. 49 I know is 7 times 7. And those 7s are also prime. So from here, I am good without my calculator. So now we're going to take these leftover numbers and organize them from least to greatest. Here I have 1 5 and 2 7s, so not too many numbers here. I do have a pair. I've got a pair of 7s, and remember that every time we circle those pairs, we write that number once outside of the square root. And then with this, I only have the 5 left over, so I don't even have to do those multiplication steps at the end. I am totally done. All right, example 3, we have 100. If you need to use your calculator to break things down, you can. You could also just go based off of what you know. So if you already know 10 times 10 is 100, write it. I also know 10 breaks down into 2 times 5, so I'm going to write that for both of those numbers there. And then I'm going to go ahead and arrange these from least to greatest. So I've got 2 2s and I got 2 5s. So from here, I'm going to circle my pairs. I've got a pair of 2s and I've got a pair of 5s. So again, each time I write those circles or I have those circles, I write the number 1 time outside. So I have a 2 and I have a 5. And if I look at that, I don't have anything else underneath the square root. It's empty. So I actually don't need to write it at all. I could just leave my answer as 5 times 2, which is 10. Okay. And if you already knew the square root of 100 is 10, there you go. So if everything cancels out and you have all of your circles that come out, that means you have a perfect square. All right. Example 4, we have 110. So because it ends in that 0, I'm going to do 10 times 11. Anything that ends in a 0 can be divided by 10. 10 I'm going to break down, 2 times 5. Again, this is all that I have. So when I arrange these in order, 2 times 5 times 11, I don't have any pairs actually. So when this happens, don't panic. It just means that what they gave you was already simplified. So this is your final answer. Looking at example 5, notice how we now have a number outside of the radical or the square root symbol. All right, looking at example 5, notice that this time we have a number outside of the radical or the square root. So just know that we're going to do something with that at the very end, but we're going to start with that 200 just like we did all of our other problems. So here, because it ends with a 0, I know 10 is going to work. So 10 times 20 would give me 200. 10 can be broken down into 2 times 5, and 20 could be 4 times 5 or 2 times 10. You'll get the same thing at the very end depending on how you broke it down. Okay, so these are all of my factors here. So I'm going to go ahead and organize them from least to greatest. So I have 1, 2, 3 2s, and I have 2 5s. Okay, and if you ever feel like you're not sure if you missed a number or if you accidentally put one more than you should, if you take all of your factors that you've organized and multiply them in the calculator, you should get the number that you started with. So here I get 200, so I know I broke it down correctly. Okay, from here, I'm gonna bring that 6 so we don't forget about it. And then scooching this up, I'm gonna go ahead and find all of my pairs just like we did before. So I have a pair of 2s, I have a pair of 5s, and we're putting those numbers on the outside, remembering to just write them one time for each circle, and that 2 is going to stay inside. And then again, I'm still bringing this 6 down. From here, we multiply all of the numbers that we brought out at front, including the 6. So 5 times 2 is 10, times 6 is 60. So my final answer here would be 60 square root 2. All right, looking at example 6, same thing. I want to start with breaking down everything in that square root. So looking at 48, I'm going to do 4 times 12, and I'm going to break down 4. I'm going to get 2 times 2. Looking at 12, I can do 6 times 2, and looking at 6, I can break that down into 3 times 2. Looking at all of those numbers, I'm going to write it down here this time. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 2s and 1 3. I also have this negative 10 at the very beginning, so I'm just going to bring that down right here. Looking at my pairs, I've got a pair of 2s, I've got another pair of 2s, so I'm going to bring out those numbers. So 2 times 2. When I look at my square root, that 3 was the one left over, and then I'm still carrying down this negative 10. So when I look at my final answer, it's negative 10 times 2, so I get negative 40 square root of 3, and now I am done here.